You keep repeating the same fights over and over again. You blame the person you're fighting with. That person blames you. What if I were to tell you that it's not either of your faults? Check this out. So, there are three instinctual forces that guide all of our behavior. Okay. So, we've got an instinct that drives us towards safety and security. We have an instinct that drives us towards belonging, to connect with each other, right? And then there's a last instinct which drives us towards passion, right? More one to one relationships, sex, but not just sex, also creativity, right? So you've got safety, you've got belonging, and then you've got passion. All of us have different amounts of focus that's allocated towards each of these instincts, right? We don't focus on all of them equally. We have favorites, right? It's not good to play favorites, but here we have favorites. Some people over focus on safety, right? They under focus on belonging, and then passion is dead for them. Like it's something that they know is important, but they don't feel it's important. It's the thing that kind of gets swept under the carpets, right? Or some people, they over focus on passion, they under focus on safety, but they're completely blind to the social part of their instincts, right? That part of them that drives that to connect with other people, to meet other people, to really have that social bond and connection. Me personally, I've always been somebody who was dominant when it comes to safety and security. So I'm always thinking about, how to budget, how to take care of my health, how to make more money, how to take care of my family, my home. Security is really important to me. Safety is really important to me. Anything that is to do with that basic instinct to survive, that is a large part of what I focus on just naturally, right? It's not something that I consciously do, that my focus just kind of goes there to the point where, I'm pretty, like, touch wood, thanks to God, I'm in a good position in my life, but I still spend the majority of my time thinking and working on aspects that deal with safety and security. So that was the dominant instinct. My secondary instinct is passion. So creativity, I love creating stuff. I love, the part of these videos that I love doing is the creation, the creativity part, right? I love writing scripts. I love making content. But, right, there's another part of me that is struggling, right? And this is the part of me that I'm consciously working on every single day, and that's the part of me that has to do with belonging, right? That instinct inside of me is something that, even though I realize the importance of it here, it's difficult to focus on it because my focus automatically is trained to go towards either self-preservation and security and safety, or relationship, one-to-one relationships, creativity, sex, passion, related projects. But the last thing that I focus on, automatically what gets left behind is social. It's belonging, right? It's connecting. And my friends always complain about, and if they're watching this video, they'll probably, they say, yes, that's him. Is I'm not the guy who calls up just to talk. I'm not the guy who, hey, calls up and say, hey, let's catch up for a beer. Some of you watching this might be like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, there's something wrong with him. Some of you who are watching this will be like, yeah, I'm like that as well. Like I focus a lot on my money, my budgeting, my health, but I don't really focus a lot on, catching up with my friends, and I feel bad and I want to. Let's take the example of a husband and wife, because a husband and wife scenario is, and it's quite common. And you can replace your husband, if you can replace husband and wife with mother and daughter in your case, or son and father, or any relationship combination that you like. But let's look at a husband and wife. You've got a husband who works 16-hour days, 14-hour days, and he's well to do, he's made a good life for himself, and but he keeps worrying. He keeps worrying about, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to lose the money that I have? What if tomorrow I lose everything? What will my family do? What will I do? I need to make sure that my kids are safe. I need to make sure that my wife's every need is taken care of. And so he works. He keeps working and he keeps working and he keeps working. Meanwhile, at home, his wife feels that he doesn't love her, because for her to feel loved, she wants to be able to be in his presence. She wants to feel like she's the most important person in the world. She wants to feel that intensity and that passion in the relationship. And when he comes back, because he's focusing so much on matters of keeping the family secure, keeping the financial situation secure, he just doesn't have any energy to give her. He doesn't have any energy to be present with her during those moments. So what happens? They fight. you know so who's wrong over here? Is it the husband? Is it the wife? Is it neither of them? Or is it both of them? The thing is that all human beings, they run based on three different instincts. So imagine that you've got three engines inside of you, and each of them is running independent of one another. The ideal situation is that you want all three engines to be running, right? If you're a jumbo jet, you've got three engines. In order for you to soar through the sky, you want all three engines to be running. But unfortunately, that's not what happens in human beings in real life. More often than not, you've got one engine that's not working at all. Like, it just does not work, right? You've got one engine that's doing 50% of the job, and then you've got another engine that's doing 150% of the job. So you've got most people who are over focusing on one instinct, on one engine. Let's call this engine, in the example that we just had about the husband and wife. The husband, he has got his engine of safety and security, right? So we'll call this the safety instinct. That engine is running on 150%. He is over focusing on it. He is thinking about it day and night. He sleeps and he dreams about how he can make more money for the family, how he can keep his family more secure, how he can keep himself more secure. And that is what he's over focusing on. So that's running on 150%, that one engine in his life. Okay. And then his engine for passion, for building a one-to-one relationship with his wife, which is also important, right? That engine is dead for him. It's something that he thinks to himself. He knows it's important, but he's like, I'll do it once I've finished everything over here. Once I've finished everything when it comes to matters of financial safety, financial security, and I've done with all the business tasks are done, everything is done, all my budgeting is done, all my finances are in place. That is when I'll give this attention. When all my work is done, that is when I'll give this attention, right? And so this part, even though he knows it's important, he doesn't behave as if it's important, right? And then he's got his engine, the third engine, which is the engine of society. It's the engine of connection. It's the engine of feeling belonging, right? Where you connect with people. And so that engine is running at 50%. His wife is the other way around. His wife is her engine that is running on overdrive, is the engine of one-on-one relationships, sex, or connection, relationship. That is her instinct. It's a vital instinct in all human beings. Do not think that this is not important. You would not exist on this planet if we did not have this instinct, if there were not people who had this instinct running on at least 100%, right? We exist here. We're the most successful species on planet Earth because of this engine. So this is not something to be discounted, right? Don't think that I'm vilifying the wife. No, this is important. but it's running on 150%. She is over focused on this area, right? And the safety part is something which she is under focusing on, or maybe it's her blind spot, right? So no one is at fault, and yet both people are at fault. The fault that they have is not that their fighting or their disagreements are because there's something wrong with each one of them. The only thing that's wrong is that where their focus is going. There's a mismatch of focus in the relationship, right? So how do you go about solving this? How do you go about, well, it's not like I'm advocating that if there's a mismatch in the way that you focus on which instincts out of the three, the safety instinct, the belonging instinct, and the passion instinct. I'm not saying that if your instincts don't match, then you have to leave the person that you're with. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, you know, you have to be a jumbo jet with all three engines running. In order for you to have the relationships, the most fulfilling relationships in your life, in order to have those relationships, you must become the person who can hold those relationships, right? You have to develop as an individual in order for you to have the kind of relationships that you crave, right? The kind of passion that you crave, the kind of understanding that you crave, the kind of support and security that you crave. You have to become the kind of person that has the ability to shift your focus from one instinct to the other and understand the importance and behave as if all the instincts are as important as the other, which means you need to start focusing less. In the husband's case, he needs to start focusing less on safety and increase the amount of focus that he has on social and belonging, and then really focus and really increase the amount of attention that he's giving to the passion part of his life. Because the truth is that, if you really want to be successful in your business, if you have good connections in life, if you've got a very supporting wife, you will perform better in your business, and you'll make more money. There's no question about that, right? Your relationship, in fact, the quality of your relationship, any kind of, I'm not just saying romantic relationship, all of your relationships in life, the impact that it has on all areas of your life, be it your health, right, be it your money, it is profound, right? It impacts if you've got good people around you, if you've got smart people around you, you will make more money. If you've got a supporting family, you will make more money. If you've got really loving relationships that you feel secure around, you will live longer, your health improves. Everything has to do with the quality of relationships that you have in your life. So, you know the husband must reduce his focus from safety instinct and start building the capacity for operating from his belonging instinct, from his passion instinct, right? That is how one grows. That is how you develop compassion. Is when you're in that fight with your wife, and the husband goes, cannot believe I work so hard for you. I work so hard for you. And he looks at his wife and he says, oh my God, this is interesting. She's her instinct is starved. Her instinct for passion, right, is starved. That's where she's coming from. And the wife looks at the husband and says, oh my God, he's been focusing so much on keeping us safe. He's so worried about that we won't be safe, that we won't have money, we won't have the resources, that we won't be secure, that he's been worrying about that again, and he's been working himself to death again. Oh my God, I better go take care of him. Imagine if we were to look at each other, if we were to look at our interactions just through that very simple framework of these three instincts, what we focus on, what we under focus on, and what we don't focus on at all. I think it is absolutely important and vital for you to understand what your dominant instinct is, what your blind spot instinct is, like what your secondary instinct is, how your instincts are stacked. So if you are somebody who is going through a lot of relationship challenges, maybe you're going through relationship challenges with your wife or your husband, and you really want to you guys want to work on it, right, and you're ready to work on it, then there's a free tool that I will give you access to. There's a link in the description below. Go click on that link. There's a free tool, there's a free assessment. You should do it. It'll tell you exactly what your dominant instinct is, what your blind spot instinct is, and how they are affecting your relationship. You must do the test and get your husband or your wife to do the test as well, and sit with your results, right, and talk to each other about your results. I am telling you, you will have the biggest, most amazing breakthrough in your relationship on the day that you decide to do that. And you should decide to do it today, because your relationships are the most important thing in life. Trust me. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you liked it, like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions about your relationships, or anything at all that you want to ask with regards to building emotional strength, with regards to becoming a leader, a grounded leader who leads themselves, leads their family, leads their team. Then go to the description below and ask whatever question you want to ask. This is Jay. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye bye.